That I'm not the biggest fan of that asset that guy's using. That's kind of sus to me. Mostly because I'm not a bottom. I don't know how many people in my orbit anyways engage with the GFE and BFE kind of content. For those that don't know, that stands for girlfriend experience and boyfriend experience type content, where the creator seems to kind of develop and cultivate a one-sided thank you for that, a one-sided relationship with their audience, where they're pretending to be the audience's girlfriend or boyfriend. Sometimes I want to ask if it's like a land of leaf flag. I have no idea. But there's a lot of people that do kind of resonate with that type of content. It really does not appeal to me, mostly because I'm aromantic and don't feel that kind of attraction to it. I personally don't think it is, inherently good or bad. But I think it can lead down overly parasocial roads. That's kind of what I worry about. Yeah, Lola, we're kind of on the same page there. So what I'm actually going to be going over right now is a video by Depressed Nusagi. I've covered a handful of his videos before, and this time, well, he's taken us through his thoughts about the morality of the GFE and BFE. So, without further preamble, take it away, Nusagi.
Here's the thing about VTubers and streaming in general. They are all parasocial. We are all
True.
parasocial to some extent. I've made an old video delving into this topic, and I came to the conclusion that parasocialism isn't necessarily a bad thing. These days, it's just a word that everyone uses to describe someone who is too far gone and decided to go full psycho over the content creator they like. But if you like or follow a content creator or a celebrity or even a fictional character, you are parasocial. If you regularly
True. It's something that I've also talked about quite a bit on this stream previously as well, where you need some kind of parasocial attachment to get people coming back and stuff. Hey, Boink! And like getting people interested in you, getting them coming back to check out your content. It requires a sort of, at least somewhat, some kind of parasocial attachment. But like, you really got to worry about how far off the deep end it can really go. And well, I've talked about it a lot. GFE is peak content. Is it because the moment it falls apart is where the comedy begins? I guess I can see that. It just does not appeal to me at all. It's just not the kind of thing that I personally have interest in.
regularly follow my content and is a fan of mine, you are parasocial to me. And sometimes that one escape from the fucked up thing that is reality could actually do wonders for one's mental health or inspire you to do things or a brief reprieve from work or school and everything stressful in your life. Again, it really just depends on what the fans do while being parasocial. But in certain situations, there is a point when parasocial relationships become unanimously and unquestioningly bad, especially when the content creators are the ones that actively elevate this parasocial relationship and feign returning back the love or attention, cultivating your feelings in greater depth.
While that does help with building your bond to your community, it also leads into that unhealthy relationship of there are a lot of people that are attention starved, touch starved. They can't get that sort of feeling anywhere in their lives, and then they kind of fall into expecting it from the creator that kind of endorses it, sort of. Personally, I think it leads to pretty unhealthy mindsets, despite it not being, inherently a bad thing. Hey, Tanbach.
While a lot of VTubers can roleplay being your mom or your dad or your friend or your whatever, the hard line for what is considered
I'm a big sister. Mostly because like I don't have a mommy or daddy thing. I got a good relationship with my parents. That's why I want you to call me big sis. Hope you get stuck in the washing machine.
morally wrong and predatory is often arbitrary in this industry, and I have found that it's really a matter of subjectivity. But the one thing that a lot of people draw the hard line is on one specific kind of roleplay. That roleplay being when someone explicitly pretends to be your lover, appealing to your ego and preying on your loneliness. This is known as the girlfriend experience, or the boyfriend experience if they prefer men. In content creating, gachikois and unicorns are always going to be a universal constant, especially more so if you're a VTuber, and especially
I don't quite know what the term gachiko is. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna show my tourist ass a little bit. I do know what a unicorn is. That's somebody who falls too hard into the parasocial relationship and feels like they have actual control over the creator that they watch. Essentially, I'm very, very, very much simplifying it. I do have a video that goes into more depth about unicorns if you want to check that one out. Just search for unicorns on my channel.
especially if you're in Hololive or other agencies with similar cultures and stylings. But what the fuck does unicorn and gachikoi even mean? Gachikois, shortened to
Oh, thank
gachis
you.
in idol speak, are fans that are in love and will support their favorites no matter what. And the unicorn, derived from their mythological counterpart, are fans that only support and engage in pure and virgin women, meaning they only approach and support the most idolist of idols and those who never had any interaction with people.
Okay. Well, that. You better step away from Mechanico. As the topic has gotten worse over time. Yeah, well, this video, like, I'm pretty sure Nisagi covered Mechanico, and like, this video is only a month old. Dude, your Oshi isn't going to boink you. I mean, depends on your Oshi. You might be able to get lucky with some what isn't? You might be able to get lucky with some lewd tubers. You don't know. I don't watch her a lot, and I don't know much about her. But Lucy Pyre is a really good video on it. She does. Actually, I like Lucy Pyre. She's really funny, and I think she's got some good insights. Though she does a lot of shit posting, but she's really good at the shit posting.
Penis havers.
Oh my god. What a great time to unpause.
A lot of people confuse the two or even use them interchangeably, but there's a subtle distinction there. A unicorn is not necessarily in love with their Oshis but will throw a hissy fit if they dare to approach a penis haver, or if the penis haver dares to approach them. A gachi is in love with their Oshi, but they won't necessarily throw a tantrum if a male approaches them. They can, but there are often occasions where they don't.
Okay, so that explains it a bit better, so to speak. Like, a unicorn is like fervently against any sort of female streamer collabing with a male streamer to dumb it down. And a gachi koi is just somebody that, well, really, really likes their Oshi. Would you like me to post a link in the Discord or something? Yeah, sure. If you don't mind dropping it in the Briley React requests at the bottom of the Discord in my, category.
Don't get me wrong though, they're not completely
As a poly person, I've never heard unicorn be used that way. Yeah, I know. It's like, it's honestly pretty weird for me too. Because like, when I hear unicorn, I'm thinking of the context from like the grinder sphere, where it's like a unicorn hunter is somebody looking for a bisexual woman to sleep, or like a couple looking for a bisexual woman to sleep with. So like, it was kind of culture shock for me to get used to hearing unicorns in this context. It's called Twitch, not Tinder, you turbo virgins.
safe.
True.
There is a time and circumstance where gachis actually do mentally break down and go psycho mode, and usually it's when they find out that their favorite content creator is currently in a relationship. A gachi may be a unicorn, but a unicorn may not be a gachi. The line they draw for their
All unicorns are gachis, not all gachis are unicorns. This notion is still debatable. Unicorns prefer untouched virgins, gachis prefer single, but may not be virgins. Unicorns get away with, or get angry when Oshi engages with opposite sex. Gachis get angry when Oshi is in relationship. Okay, yeah, I can see why there's a lot of overlap to this. It's kind of like comparing bisexuals and pansexuals.
Their favorite VTubers are noticeably different, and based on those definitions, you can probably see why unicorns are a bit more volatile than gachis. How fans come to this stage of parasociality are dependent on multiple factors, and honestly,
the virgin thing sounds like something he added on his own. I know how it comes across as like his personal bias kind of thing, but like, let's be honest, he's been in the scene way longer than at least I have, and he's been more engaged with the the corpo VTubers and their communities than I have. I tend to focus on indies, which is my preference. Like, those terms were the same at one point. Honestly, I don't know. It's like, it's kind of a culture that I'm kind of going into and learning about. This sounds very red-pilled. Yes, I believe, excuse me. I think Nusagi tends to be red-pilled. I don't know 100% though. Overall, I do kind of like the guy. He's just got some stuff I disagree with.
it deserves an entire video to truly explore. But as an example, if a streamer group or agency or the individual streamer themselves have cultivated a culture where that kind of experience is normalized or even necessary, then the chances of birthing gachis and unicorns spawning there is increased significantly. At least,
Yeah, like, I don't know if he's going to get into it a whole lot, but the types of people he's describing as like unicorns and gachis tend to cultivate around like idol culture. It's just a weird offspring of it, I guess. I don't know what the proper term is. Oh, no, I mean the stuff he's talking about, the unicorns, gachis, it's incel behavior. Yes, like the unicorns and gachis themselves, they are fully incels. Like, there is no denying that stuff. They are permanently online and think they can control stuff. I definitely remember him asking more VTubers to be more like Andrew Tate, so lol. Wait, what? I don't remember. I didn't see that at all. When I see people looking for unicorns on Tinders, it's normally a guy that wants the Lamprey Man from X-Files with a girl that's way too young. Yeah, the people on Tinder and Grindr that are looking for unicorns, they're usually not the best people. Just saying. Gachis and unicorns will be mad at me if I try GFE and it turns out, whoops, I have a man already. I want to try trolling that way, get millions of fans in the GFE and cuck them all. Well, I mean, if you look at the racist spheres, cuck is pretty goddamn popular in terms of content that they enjoy. These terms origin in Japanese otaku culture. Otaku culture? Yeah, I kinda expected that much.
compared to places where no such culture exists or is only fate. Hololive and other idol-related VTuber agencies are subject to this, especially since in idol culture, interacting with males are generally considered not good. Hololive and similar cultures
That is so fucking weird to me. Like, why is it such a big issue for women to interact with men at all in terms of content creation? It's part of why I don't personally want to be part of like Hololive or Ninja Sanji. Not only because A, I wouldn't own my own VTuber and stuff, but because it's just the kind of fan bases they cultivate with Hololivers and Niji Sanji talent leaning into the idol culture essentially. I just don't like it. I think it's down the road it leads to very problematic stuff, and it's very, very, very hard to manage. That's just my opinion.
Kinda puts an unspoken pressure on the girls to follow the same, and this action attracts unicorns especially. Hell, some Hololive girls are genuinely afraid of even interacting or talking to a male. But still, even if those kinds of cultures aren't cultivated, again, gachis and unicorns will always exist. Now, the reason why I'm talking about this is that when someone does the girlfriend or boyfriend experience, they inadvertently spawn or cater to gachis and unicorns. By pretending to be their fanbase's lover, gachis' birthing rates shoot up exponentially. By pretending to need no other, or hell, even show that the content creator is hesitant in interacting with the opposite sex, unicorns rejoice and feast. In the VTubing industry, there are no greater examples of
So
VTubers
weird.
doing GFE and BFE than Hololive's Uruha Russia and Niji-EN's Vox Akuma. And these two has a rather weird reputation. Russia is more notorious and the poster child of
I'm gonna be completely upfront. I don't actually know anything about Rusia or Vox's controversies or whatever they've gotten into. So largely I'm learning a lot of this from Nusagi. If other people have other sources to learn from, please let me know.
GFE gone incredibly wrong in this industry, because her downfall from Hololive actually happened due to her own unicorns harassing her for daring to have a male friendship and leaking an interaction with one, and her subsequent overreaction to it.
What? Well, I mean, kind of playing with fire when you're cultivating specifically that kind of audience. It's like you got to be real careful with the direction you take your content. It's like, as an individual creator, you got to create the kind of content that appeals not only to you but also to your fan base. So like, you do kind of got to be aware of what the majority of your audience feels. You got to be aware of, or you got to at least consider how you think they would react to how you engage with certain things. Just my 2 cents.
Now, a lot of people think that this was deserved because by doing what she does, she set herself up for the eventual attack by her own obsessive fanbase. Russia is quite literally the face of parasociality in this industry. She roleplays hard as that one yandere needy girlfriend VTuber, and by hard, I mean really hard. Her acting for her adoration and love and jealousy for her own fanbase is so good that it makes people question if she's actually being half genuine when she says the things that she says. And unfortunately for her, a rather significant percentage of her fanbase believes it, and that applies even to this day. When she streamed with 2 penis havers on stream recently, she was rained by a substantial amount of dislikes.
I just want to say, it's completely unrelated to this video. It just makes me laugh. It makes me happy that Nusagi has been referring to men as penis havers. Or like he's largely referring to men, but not explicitly gatekeeping it to be men, because like there can still be women with penises that engage in this. I mean, I don't engage with this content, but I am a woman with penis. Rushi is now Nazuna and oh. Cringe.
And unsupportive comments, to say the least. GFE is so ingrained in this woman's content that it now follows her pretty much everywhere she goes. Our BFE counterpart Vox Akuma has also been subject to a shit ton of unicorns and gachis in the past. He has faced severe backlash because of these people, and yet he still actively pursues it, tripling down on the boyfriend experience.
If I remember correctly, I think I had covered this a little on stream like a while back, but like he kind of got into hot water regarding his audience engaging with other creators in a negative way and then kind of like dismissing it. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what Nusagi is currently referring to. I don't fully know. I don't actually watch Vox.
Whether he knows it or not, he is defeated by the pressure of his fans. That's his niche. That's what his fans want. Even if there are multiple times he drew that hard line. But when you think about it, is he necessarily wrong when he still pursues BFE content but mock and disavow his own unicorns? He is aware.
That's actually kind of funny. A kind of funny dynamic where you're actively pursuing the BFE content while calling those people that are engaging with that content like disgusting and fucking weird. It's like he's playing into their degradation kinks, and it's like kind of perpetuating it. Crazy begets crazy. Very, very true.
That he is doing the boyfriend experience, but from the name itself, that's really only what it is. An experience, a service. He is only role-playing and sticking to a kayfabe because isn't that what a VTuber is supposed to do? Put on a performance? He is only doing BFE for the sake of the content, and while he has to take some semblance of responsibility because again, doing BFE content inherently entails volatile gachis and unicorns,
True.
it poses the question of whether or not he is entirely at fault that his fanbase cannot draw that hard line and can't keep their feelings in check.
Okay, so I believe I've also mentioned my opinion on this previously on stream, but I'll quickly go over it again. I don't think that a creator is responsible for every single individual in their community or like the actions of every single individual of their community or of their audience, but the audience as a whole largely is a reflection of the creator. It's especially true, it seems, with bigger creators, where if you're not really outwardly constantly condemning that kind of behavior, it's just going to be cultivating more and just keep repeating, especially if there's the type of creator that just is like, well, I'm not responsible for my fans, I'm just going to wash my hands of it. That is, in my opinion, a passive endorsement of that behavior they're supposedly condemning. It's just one of the ways of being responsible with your platform. I don't think I'm 100% responsible with my platform. I'm trying my best though. But it's really hard to really properly know what's the most responsible way to handle every single situation. But with BFE, GFE content, it gets a lot trickier. Because like that's kind of your livelihood at this point. Like at Vox's point, it's his livelihood to keep playing into that. If he dropped that content just altogether, I would imagine he would see a large dropping in his follower base. That's just my predictions. Take my word with a grain of salt. I am a dropout. Not very responsible for a select few, very responsible for the majority. Yeah, pretty much.
The question is, why should Vox or other GFE or BFE doers be responsible?
Oh, especially if you do actually, like, if you're in a situation where there actually is somebody from your community actually going out and, harassing somebody or threatening somebody, and then like you kind of do got to deal with that, because if you don't, it's just kind of going to keep festering. It's going to keep getting worse.
Responsible of their fan base being mentally ill and volatile when they're just doing their job as a VTuber. So, on my last stream where I talk about Michael, my chat and I had a really interesting discussion of whether or not BFE and GFE is morally wrong, and I got mixed responses with equally valid arguments for both sides. This is very interesting because it just shows how divisive the topic of BFE and GFE is, and whether or not it is an acceptable form of roleplay, even in VTubing, the one corner in the internet where you can supposedly roleplay and put on a kayfabe as literally anything. So let's have that discussion right here too. Let me have your input in the comments. First, let's delve into the argument about why GFE and BFE is not a bad thing. So, why
I'll make my argument before he gets into his. I don't think it's inherently a bad thing because it's just a type of content to enjoy. It's a form of ASMR. It's a literal experience that's being sold. It's not an actual physical service, so to speak. There is nothing that is inherently harmful about it, more or less. And that's kind of the perspective I'm coming from anyways.
GFE and BFE isn't wrong is the fact that the streamers are selling an experience, a product, a performance. It's addictive, it fuels bad feelings, and has a shit ton of studies as to why it's bad. In fact, you'd see a lot of people tell you not to do it, yet still think it's not inherently wrong. The core argument there is that the responsibility is up to the individual fan to separate themselves when it gets too real and control their feelings. They need to remind themselves that this is not real.
Yes, I would also say that it would also be important of the creators themselves that create the GFE and BFE content to like occasionally remind people like, hey, we don't actually have a connection. This is an experience you're receiving. It's not real. Remember, we gotta learn how to separate reality from fiction.
The consumers are responsible for the products they consume. GFE and BFE content isn't shoved down people's throats, unlike other more predatory products that has a similar downward spiral, like porn or gambling. Because in those cases, there's a shit ton of ads in it literally everywhere. GF.
The most I can say is avoid method acting in regards to that. Other than that, go with what you want. I kind of get that.
GFE and BFE is a kind of experience that one has to actively seek out. There are healthy ways to consume it, like, again, escapism. But if you are actively seeking out that experience to live in this delusion in an unhealthy way, and you have a very weird expectation and assumption about your relationship with the VTuber, that's no longer the streamer's problem.
I definitely 100% agree there, because, like, I don't inherently have any problem with people engaging in a little separation from reality, enjoying their fantasies a little bit. I do kind of have a problem with people only engaging in that kind of escapism. Because if you're honestly focusing on escaping stuff, you're not making anything better. You need to kind of, you need to address the problems in your real life that you're trying to escape from. I think this kind of content should be a supplement, not a replacement for life experience.
That's a you problem. So I pose the question again. Is it really the VTuber's fault if a portion of their fanbase are complete nutjobs and not take steps into helping themselves? But
inherently, no, I don't think it's the VTuber's problem or responsibility specifically. I just think there are ways to, well, responsibly engage with it. Just don't stay 100% in the GFE, BFE kind of stuff. Take a step back from that at least every once in a while. I think that would be the most healthy way to engage with it if you want to focus on that kind of content, if that is kind of your bread and butter.
But as for the contrary argument, GFE and BFE is bad because you are feeding something of an addiction. It's just business, yes, but it's the exploitative kind of business.
Yes, it's a kind of addiction that some people just can't control. They're trying to escape from a life that they don't like, and they don't really think about it too much. They just want to get away from the bad, and I can't really blame them for that, but I can blame them for, not taking steps to make their lives better. If there's literally nothing they can do to make their lives better, then, well, I sympathize with that, and that's fucking awful. You just gotta keep striving to make life as good as you can, right?
Where you quite literally leech off of the crippling loneliness of single, desperate, and mentally unstable people. You are like a drug dealer, conducting business, and again, it's a morally wrong business.
That, I'm not the biggest fan of that asset that guy's using. That's kind of sus to me. Mostly because I'm not a bottom, so it's just weird for me to see that perspective.
with severe repercussions and a complete lack of concern for your own fanbase. GFE and BFE naturally entails unicorns and gachis, and that makes your fanbase inherently more toxic and volatile. It's like a
True.
ticking time bomb, and when it eventually blows up in your face, then whose fault is it other than yours? You don't blame or fault a bomb for exploding. It's literally what they are and what they're for. Of course a bomb is gonna fucking explode when you play with it. There's an inherent
Now, I do think there is merit to that argument where when you're indulging in just GFE, BFE content, you're kind of setting, or you're kind of placing volatile elements together, and then as you indulge in it more and more, it's just becoming more and more likely that those volatile elements are going to merge and the bubble will burst, so to speak. So, like, it is kind of on the creator themselves for not recognizing that type of culture they are cultivating. And then if there are people that just are aware of that and engage with it anyways, those types of people, oh, they're bad. I consider those to be the bad bads. People need to sprinkle in leftist political VTubers. Yes, like me, like Surus, like Zeka, like Lolotov Cocktail, like Marina VT, like more. We need more. We need more leftist political VTubers.
danger to doing BFE and GFE, because you're fueling the toxic kind of parasocial relationship. It cultivates bad people, so it's morally bad. And therein lies the divide. Then again, there are instances where the girlfriend experience or the boyfriend experience doesn't have a hard line or set up boundaries, where the streamer doesn't tell their fanbase to touch grass or remind them that it's not
Shout out to Lolotov Cocktail. She's great, by the way. Do check out her streams over on Twitch.
real, where they promise not to involve themselves with the opposite gender and a few other things. And in those circumstances, that is 100% a bad thing. At the end of the day, my opinion is that GFE or BFE is only wrong when the streamers themselves set up no boundary, or if they also go too far.
Yeah, that's something that should have actually been mentioned a lot earlier in this video. I'm kind of upset at myself for not thinking about it, but if you're going to engage with problematic experiential content kind of things like GFE and BFE, set boundaries. Boundaries are so goddamn important as a creator, especially to set them earlier in your career in the industry and then stick to those boundaries.
It kinda depends on how they execute the kayfabe. Ultimately, I think it's the streamer's responsibility to set up the proper precautions.
Can I just say, what the fuck is up with people loving Yandere? I don't get it. It just seems like walking red flags to me. Toxicity is bread and butter of the internet. True. Roll with the punches and make limits for how many punches you can take. True. Essentially.
Boundaries and reminders if they're dipping down on a type of content that has some inherent danger to the fanbase, like the GFE or BFE. There has to be proper communication between the two parties. If that is done, I think that's then up to the fanbase's responsibility to listen.
Vox Optimize has actually done a decent job of establishing boundaries as of late. I would hope so. I think he's gotten into hot water more than once about his fans. Use that term.
Listen, making sure not to get too hooked and detach themselves whenever necessary. But failing that, then that's when I think the streamers are complete douchebags and are at fault for conducting it.
I don't understand it, but I can sympathize with people who want someone to be completely obsessed with them. Yeah, like I kind of get that too. You want to know that the people you're engaging. Oh God, I don't want to be looking at that. You want to know that the people you're engaging with are, interested in you and all that. But it's just a type of content I don't get. It does not appeal to me. I just don't get yandere. I mean, if you want to get into it, or if you want to indulge in that content, have at her. I don't really mind. It's just not my cup of tea.
Making sure not to get too hooked and detach themselves whenever necessary. But failing that, then that's when I think the streamers are complete douchebags and are at fault for conducting it. I mean, hey man, just do GFE unironically and you'll be fine. A few VTubers do it, and everyone, including a streamer, is self-aware of the things they're doing. It's all just for fun and gags. GFE and BFE is risky business, but there's a reason why people do it. The rewards of these kinds of things are very massive. For example, Russia was literally Covercorp's biggest moneymaker in 2021, and Vox was DGEN's biggest for 2020.
I think the appeal of Yandere is having a girl 100% loyal with a hint of domination. Yeah, that makes sense. It does seem like it's mostly bottoms into Yandere stuff.
It cannot be understated how much GFE paired with the Ludetuber trope does fucking wonders in raking in cash and clout. But it also—
oh, holy shit, you combine GFE, BFE experience and like hentai and adult content. Holy shit, does that stuff sell? People love their hentai, especially when they can interact directly with their favorite hentai figures.
also draws in a lot of pushback and criticism, and whether the conductors of GFE or BFE care about that is ultimately up to them. In fact, other than one's reputation, GFE and BFE has one severe cause that has been observed in a lot of its practitioners: their mental health. Doing this type of content—
music in the background is from Needy Streamer Overload. I have no idea what that is.
and seems to have profound negative effects on one's psyche in ways I can't exactly pinpoint or describe. Or perhaps one needs to already be somewhat unhinged to fully commit to the bit. Could that be why most GFE or BFE VTubers are mentally, unwell? Does doing GFE make you mentally—
Heard the HoloLive Indonesia girls have been good at setting up boundaries despite being corpo idols. They regularly collab with male VTubers and FleshTubers. Oh, that's actually really good to hear. It's good when people are able to stick to that. It's a visual novel type game where you manage a streamer who's completely dependent on you. Huh. Okay. That doesn't seem like it's up my alley, but as long as people enjoy it.
ill, or do you need to be mentally ill to do GFE? Honestly, it could go either way. In any case, I don't have the qualifications to analyze and say anything about that, but it might be an interesting psychological study to look into. So my opinion in the end falls to the not necessarily wrong crowd. But hey, feel free to disagree.
I mean, as one, I don't really understand the appeal Yans like me get. Maybe it's the passion and loyalty, maybe it's a sense of danger they're tagged with from the genre. I mean, it could be a excuse me. It could be a combination of all the above. Honestly, it might be a combination of all the above. I don't think there's a single specific answer. It's very, very subjective.
I'd like to hear your thoughts over in the comments. So if your favorite GFE or BFE VTuber—
me? Uncultured? Are you kidding? I watch a lot of hentai.
aren't reminding you already, let me be the one to do it for them. It's just their fucking job. It's a business. None of it is real. It's a temporary experience to comfort you and make you forget about your problems for a little bit, help you unwind. So don't get too attached, okay? I would severely miss you if you go on the deep end. So be strong for me, okay? I'll be here for you. For you, for when you want to come back, I'll always be. Just you and no other. Be a good girl, or be a good boy, and watch my other videos too. Is that okay? I'm embarrassed now. Why did I say that? I can't tell you what to do, but I can't stay here for long. So, again, be strong for me, okay? I'll have to disappear and—
That's one way to end it. I certainly appreciate that. That was a pretty solid ending to that video. Like, I'm gonna be real. I do have some problems with Depressed Nusagi, but he puts out some banger content. I can't deny that. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe for more content, and if you want to join the community, feel free to check out the Discord. I love to voice chat in there, so if you want to ever talk, I'm usually available. Well, in the afternoons.